Hello? Sa menu rin ang weekly plans para sa grade levels na base sa Most Essential Learning Competencies o MELC. Interactive ang learning tools dahil gamified ang exams at quizzes. Wala nang excuse para bumagsak, ha? Sa panahon ngayon, hawak kamay tayo at magtulungan. Salamat sa teknolohiya, mailalapit natin ang edukasyon sa bagong henerasyon. Come on na sa DepED Commons. Gawin nating accessible ang pag-aaral. I-follow ang Department of Education sa social media at bisitahin ang iba pa nilang websites for more information. O sige, ang dami ko nang sinabi. Daliri lang ako. Paalam! Paalam!
Dear God, thank you for all the blessings you have bestowed upon us. We are truly grateful for them. Thank you for allowing us today to meet and share our knowledge and time with one another in this webinar. May you extend your divine wisdom to our speakers so that they would be able to impart effectively their God-given knowledge to all of us. May they be blessed as they continue to bring their expertise to the people who need them. Please bless the participants as well, so that they will be able to glean the vital information from this activity. May you bestow your blessings after this webinar, so that we may go out and spread what we learned in the spirit of your love and generosity. May we realize that this activity should glorify your name. Amen.
Ayan, magandang hapon sa ating lahat. Siyempre naman, Ma'am Weng. Kamusta ka, Ma'am Weng?
Okay naman, medyo puyat.
Ayan. Oo nga. So, kanina lang magkasama tayo dito sa central office
Ang ganda ng background sa likod.
Ayan, nagano kasi ako, nag-chroma ako syempre. Very special ang ating event ngayon. Alam naman natin, Ma'am Weng, this is our third episode. Ngayon ko lang ginamit yan kasi ngayon lang nabakante yung ating studio rito sa central office na talagang we're all set para sa ating August 10 simulation of the DepEd TV. Makikita ninyo na talagang yung mga teacher broadcaster natin ay nandyan at pinost na nila yung schedule natin. So we hope to see you on Monday. Tama ba, Ma'am Weng?
Yes. See you on Monday.
So, Ma'am Weng, ano bang aasahan natin ngayong araw sa ating mga participants? Sa ating speaker muna.
Sa ating speaker, parang hindi ko masyadong kilala yung speaker natin today. Hindi. Sa ating asahan, of course, syempre, Casio to. And also, I know very well the speaker. So, knowledgeable siya sa craft na ito. And also, alam kong maibibigay niya yung best na ito para ma-share niya o maibahagi ang kanyang kaalaman patungkol sa paggamit ng isang gadget na kung saan ay magagamit sa pagkatuto sa math subject. Ayan.
Yes,
so I hope na
so
mag-stay tuned yung ating mga participants kasi talagang magagamit nila ito. Diba, Sir Bad?
Yes, ma'am, kasi honestly, during our planning meeting with the head of Casio Educational Unit, Mr. Joel Salano, we will have, I think, 2 new segments this webinar. So meron tayong surpresang pakulo para sa ating mga teacher participants na mag-tune in sa atin. And meron tayong isa pang special guest na mag-share ng kanyang learnings sa ating webinar. So pipili tayo ng pipili tayo ng may magandang comment, and then we will try to get in touch with him or with her sa kalagitnaan ng ating seminar. Kasi mas maganda na habang nag-webinar tayo, meron tayong nakakausap paano ba nila ginagamit itong mga tinuturo natin, lalo na ng Casio Philippines, sa pagtuturo nila sa kanilang mga paaralan.
Yan, tama po yan. So, paano nila magagamit sa kanilang pagkatuto sa larangan ng subject ng mathematics? Hindi naman kailangan na laging meron ganito, pero nandito po ang ating speaker para ituro kung paano siya gamitin sa madaling paraan. Naiintindihan ko po na sa new normal, may mga changes, pero ito hindi naman siya talaga na kumbaga bago ginagamit. Kumbaga dati na siya ginagamit, at the good thing is mas maganda siya na matutunan even though na alam na ng mga bata kung paano gamitin to. But at the end, maganda rin na malaman ng magulang kung paano rin ito ginagamit. Kaya yung mga participants yan, yung mga live participants namin, dapat po mag-stay tuned kayo para matutunan din natin ang paggamit ng isang gadget na ito para sa pagkatuto ng mathematics.
So,
diba, Sir Bob?
Yes, Ma'am Weng. So, alam ko excited na ang lahat. So, hindi ko na patatagalin pa. I'll now introduce our guest speaker this afternoon. Okay, our speaker this afternoon is a math teacher at Makati Science High School. She obtained her Bachelor of Secondary Education degree major in mathematics under the DepED Scholarship Program and has completed the academic requirements in Master of Science in Mathematics at Philippine Normal University. Now, she is pursuing to complete her Master's at the University of Rizal System. She is an MTAP lecturer and an MTAP exemplary teacher in 2019. She had been a lecturer and speaker for different math and pedagogical contexts and was one of the regional trainer in the primals in 2018. She is also a module writer in senior high school and for the division of SDO Makati, a book author for elementary and high school mathematics, and most importantly, a Casio Ed teacher for 4 years and counting. Let us all welcome our good friends, ang suki natin sa EDTECH, none other than Ma'am Reverie Vargas. Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon. Hi, Owe. Nandito ulit ako.
Special gusto.
Oh.
So, ayan. Kamusta, Ma'am Reverie?
Ito, EMCQ ulit tayo. So, we have a lot of time to prepare and for this coming school year.
Yeah. So,
ang ganda ng background niya, no? Diba? Ang ganda ng background niya.
para malaman talaga na si Ma'am Reverie pala yung nasa background. So talagang syempre be proud kasi alam mo yan, kahit anong oras natin tawagin niya si Ma'am Reverie, all our Casio Ed teacher, talagang nandiyan sila para suportahan tayo. And isa sa mga pruweba nito is yung ating weekly professional development for teachers na kung saan partner pa rin po natin ang Casio Philippines at Casio Calculators Philippines.
Tama tayo dyan. So, wag na natin patagalin.
Yes.
Bigyan na natin yung oras para sa ating suking speaker. Not just only the speaker, but a good, tawag dito, a good friend and also napakagaling mag-host. Suki yan ng Makati Science High School. Every event, siya lagi ang host. Imagine, teacher siya ng mathematics, but another crop. Napakagaling mag-host. Wala akong masabi dyan. Diba?
Yes. At talagang napatunayan na rin niya ni Ma'am Reverie nung nag-host siya ng ating webinar sa EdTech. Nakasama niyo doon ang ating isa sa mga educational technology specialists, si Sir Mark Anthony Hermisal, na sobrang nami-miss na natin, and he'll be back on Monday. Hopefully, makakapag-taping niya rin si Sir Mudge para sa ating DepEd TV. So Ma'am Weng, I think ready na si Ma'am Reverie. Muli,
Yes.
magpapaalam po kami later on po.
Hi.
Magkakaroon po ulit tayo ng
See you.
attendance. Ang attendance po natin ay nakalink po yan sa Google form and you need to submit a 10-second video, 10 seconds video showing your screen na ginagamit ninyo yung Casio emulator na i-discuss ni Ma'am Reverie. Last time po kasi, meron po mga nag-send na screen capture or video recording ng lecture ni Sir Tony. Ang hinihingi po namin is your video using the emulator, miski nasa desktop niyo, basta makikita namin na kayo ang gumagamit. Paano namin nalalaman yan? Pag nakita namin si Ma'am Reverie, yung slide ni Ma'am Reverie, at yung mouse nyo, hindi nyo naman tinuturo doon, nalalaman kagad namin na in-screen capture nyo lang ang videos natin na sinubmit. So again, meron tayong dalawang aabangan. It's a challenging, interactive way on how we can communicate with other teachers. So hindi ka na patatagalin pa. Ma'am Reverie, take it away.
Thank you, Sir Bads, Ma'am Weng. Hi, good afternoon, teachers. It's a great afternoon. So today we're going to discuss, wait lang, yan, okay. We're going to discuss about trigonometry, something very exciting, no, for our dear participants. This is something na, okay, we really need to use calculator in this. So it's another MATHtech day and another Saturday with Casio Technology session. But before we begin, make sure you've downloaded the Casio FX991ES Plus C second edition. So make sure we have this already. At the same time, if we don't have, kindly go to educasio.com software license index.php and download your 991ES. I'm giving you 2 minutes to do that. Now, while we're waiting, let's have a brief discussion first. Maybe you're wondering, why should we use an emulator? Emulator is something that we have, just like the one that I have on the left side of my screen. We now more than ever is that we need to use the emulator so that our student will not be lost in our discussion. I mean, whatever we are keying in our calculator, our student will be able to view that. At the same time, our student will be able to follow. Why? Because there is a picture in this calculator. On the third, here can we see on the top part, there are 5 illustrations. If you click on the third illustration, it actually magnifies your screen. If it magnifies our screen, whatever we key in our screen, that's actually the one that our student will see on the screen. At the same time, if we want to push further, whatever we are keying in, we can also have the keylog. The keylog is the last illustration, the one with 2 by 3 rectangles. Rectangle that we have on the screen. Yan. So, I don't want to use my keylog, but I want to magnify my screen. Again, if I want to magnify my screen, I can click on the third illustration. So, I hope you have your 991ES plus C. Sige po, I'm giving you a certain minute. Let's just identify first. I said already, why do we need emulator? Second is that, so that when our students do it on their own, since they were able to follow through in our discussion, when we are having asynchronous or synchronous discussion, at the same time, they will be able to follow through. When they're already on their own, they know what to do. Yan. Dear teachers, if our students have calculator at home, it is inevitable that they will not use it. Definitely they will. So we might as well guide them on how we're going to use it in class. Kesa naman, they are just keying in values and they are not sure if it's really correct or not. So while we're waiting, sige po, I'll just start and have a review of the things that you have that we need in trigonometry. First, what do we know? In trigonometry, we know that we do have a circle in relation to triangle. So if we have a circle, what do we know about the circle? That the formula for the circle is actually x squared plus y squared equals r squared. This is when the center of the circle is at the origin. Yan, naalala po ba natin yan? Now, if we're going to look at this circle, the radius is on 2. This is 2. So if that's the case, the formula, equation of this circle is x squared plus y squared is equal to 4. That's one thing we know. So if that's the case, all the points, let's consider all the points already that we have here. All the points here are actually points on the circle that will satisfy this equation. Okay, I hope you, again, you have to download 991 ES Plus C second edition. That would be version 5.0. Yan yung makikita po natin dun sa Casio screen. Now, once we have this, while we're recalling, so all those points will satisfy this condition. Another thing is that this means that in a circle, we can form central angle. This is one central angle. Yan. This central angle, and then we can have another. This is also another central angle. Okay, that's another angle that we can form. Now, in every angle, we have the initial side. The initial side is the one in the x-axis, the side that lies in the x-axis. And the terminal side is the side that lies in any point on the circle. Now, if we're going to consider this, all the angles that go through here are what we call in counterclockwise direction. So that means, let's say this angle is 35-degree angle. That means everything that goes counterclockwise is a positive angle, and anything that goes clockwise is a negative angle. How do we mean? What do we mean by clockwise? Anything that goes here, because the clock goes this direction. Any angle that goes this direction is a negative angle. So maybe this is negative 20 degrees. Let's say. I hope we can recall all the concepts now. We're going to have brief recall. Okay. Now, while I'm discussing this, once you already downloaded your Casio FX991ES Plus, see, make sure you open it. When you open it, there are two choices. You have one, yes, and then the next one is no. I want to continue with my current version. Kindly click on no, I want to continue with my current version, because this will actually allow us to work on a free version of the emulator. Then we click on the next. Once we click on the next, the calculator that appears on the left side of my screen will come out. Again, if you're discussing in class and you want to magnify your screen, you kindly click on the third item. Yan. So here, let's go back here. So as I said earlier, we have angles that forms positive in counterclockwise direction, and angles that we form negative are the ones in the counterclockwise direction. Now, if we form an angle here, we form a triangle. Perpendicular, so that would mean this is 90-degree angle. If this is a triangle, we know that this is x units and this is y units. And this is the radius. At the same time, this serves as the hypotenuse of our triangle. Note that in any right triangle, there is one theorem that we are all familiar with. Ano nga yung theorem na yun? It's the Pythagorean theorem po. So when we apply Pythagorean theorem in this triangle that we created from the central angle that we form, we can actually follow using Pythagorean theorem as x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared, which is the same as the formula for the circle. This is how wonderful trigonometry is. Your students will be able to see relationship on what they learn. This is something that they learned in first quarter pre-calculus, first part of the pre-calculus, and this is something that they learned when they were in grade 8 or grade 9, Pythagorean theorem. So these are the things that we need in order for us to continue with our discussion. So let's start. Hope you have already your 991 ES. So there you go. Exploring trigonometric ratios. At the beginning of discussion of trigo, sometimes as a teacher, we don't actually use the calculator in the beginning because we give the ratio. But what if, let's have an open idea that what if we're not going to give the ratio? Rather, let our student explore on the ratio so that they'll be able to know what sine, cosine, tangent is in terms of the circle. Now, why do we start with the 30-degree? 30, 60, 90-degree triangle is a special triangle that our student already know when they were in grade 9. or grade 8 when they discuss triangle. They know already, if we're going to look at the pattern, let's use red. The pattern would be, if this is the hypotenuse, the one opposite 30 is the shortest side, which we represent with x. The one opposite 60 is the one opposite 30 times square root of 3. And the one opposite 90 degrees is the hypotenuse, of course. That measures twice the shortest side. So that would mean this represents 2x. If that's the case, in this case, the hypotenuse is 2. Let's use blue. This is 1 because it's x. If that's 2, means that's half of 2. This is 1. And this is 1 times square root of 3. So this is square root of 3. I might as well just erase that one. Okay, let me erase the other part. Okay, that's 1. And this 2, sorry. Now, let the student write the ratio. If I'm going to write the ratio here, that would be square root of 3 over 2. I'll act as if I'm the student filling up this ratio. So my task as a student, as a teacher, is to give instruction. What are the students supposed to do? The students are supposed to, example, write the ratio of the given item based on the given. So this is x units. This is y units. That means the ratio, and this is the radius, so this is r. That means the ratio would be x is square root of 3 over 2. Y would be, this would be 1/2. This will be square root of 3 over 1 or square root of 3. This would be, in here, I'm not going to use yet the calculator because I know what ratio is. If you have your ClassWiz with you, you can use the ClassWiz in terms of the ratio on menu C. In this case, we are not going to use it anymore. Y is 1 over square root of 3. Yeah. So that is square root of 3 over 3. R over Y is 2 over 1. So that means that's 2. R is 2 square root of 3. 2 over square root of 3. That means 2 square root of 3 over 3. Pag hindi alam ng mga bata, definitely they'll key in, ano nga ba yung 2 square root of 3? So that's 2 over square root of 3. Again, when you open your, I hope you already have your 991 ES Plus. When you have it already, make sure to open it. Then click on No. I want to continue with my current version, and then the next, and then your Casio ClassWiz, Casio 991 ES Plus will appear on the screen. Now, students don't have any idea of signing it because it's an explore activity, but they do know that they have it in their scientific calculator. So you might as well ask them to it. Since this is an explore activity, we can ask them to key in sine 30 in their calculator, but make sure that the degree, that their setup is on degree. Remember, we have we can have degree or radian. So it should be in degree. How will they know? The one in this item should be in D. Now, how are we going to go to radian? Later, we're going to discuss that, but let's focus on this first. So let's key in sine 30. Sine 30 is 1/2. So the students will be doing this in class. They don't have any idea, but later they'll see the connection between the two. Cosine 30, pwedeng wala ng parenthesis on the end, but for formality's sake, I want to have the parenthesis. Square root of 3 over 2. And we have, since it's cosine, I just want to change that. Tangent. Square root of 3 over 3. Then I have 1 over sine. 1 over sine. Where is that? 30. Now, why did I go for 1 over sine? Because it's the inverse function, the reciprocal function of sine, cosine, and tangent. Because that's the only thing that they'll see on their screen. If they don't see on their screen, they don't understand how they're going to use it. So we might as well direct them on something that is visually illustrated on their screen. Yan. Cosine 30. So that's 2 square root of 3 over 3. And then, take note, we are simulating this activity as if I am a student. Yan. Tangent 30 is square root of 3. There you go. Yan. So I already completed. The next thing that we're going to do, the next instruction that we're going to say is to match. 1/2 is the same as this. Okay, so that's y over r. Square root of 3 over 2 is the same as that. So that's x over r. Then I have square root of 3 over 3 is here. Then I have y over x. Then I have 2 r over y. Then 2 square root of 3, that would be that, r over x. And then square root of 3, okay, make sure. Yan, x over y. If the students will see this, okay, the ratio of sine is y over r, the ratio of cosine is x over r, the ratio of tangent is y over x. And this, since it's 1 over sine, is actually a reciprocal of this one. The 1 over sine is reciprocal of sine 30, then this is the chance for us to introduce cosecant 30 degrees, secant 30 degrees, and cotangent 30 degrees. Wow, this is a great explore activity for our students in higher level because first, they know how to follow instructions. Second, anything that's clickable, they know that they can click it in the calculator. Kung baga kung tayo medyo afraid tayong mag-click sa calculator, our students now are really diverse. They are really into exploration. Anyway, they are digital natives, is what we call. So let's proceed. So this is one explore activity that we can do. We did not give them the ratio. They discovered the ratio through an activity that they did. Then we can actually do this. We can conclude already that in this case, the ratio of this would be y over r, x over r, y over x. Cosecant is sine, so r over y, secant is cosine, r over x, and x over y. There you go. Our students were able to identify the ratio based on the explore activity that we did using the scientific calculator. That's one activity that we can do. So let's proceed. These are sample activities that you can do. Now, they discovered already. Let's try to answer a few, but I'm not going to answer everything. So let's try to identify secant is the reciprocal of cosine. Now, how do I go about it? Simply key in your calculator. Can we follow? I hope we can follow. Simply key in negative 2.5 in our calculator. If we click on equal sign, that's negative 5 halves. So alam natin, we know already that secant theta is negative 5 over 2. So cosine theta is just the reciprocal of that. So as simple as that, negative 2 over 5. Ganun lang siya. Yeah. I'm not going to dwell on the other parts. We have other things to discuss. But what I want to show us is that when we do our activity in trigonometry, have it something start with an easy task, going to a more complicated item. Yeah. Maybe we can answer this. Okay. How do we answer? How do we find x? Ang sabi dito, I find the coordinate of y. So maybe we can skip that. That should be x. Okay, so yan, para mas complicated. But definitely, it's all about that. The next concept is trigonometric functions in terms of unit circle. So maybe you're wondering why this is a circle. The bigger circle is a circle with 2, radius of 2. The smaller circle is a circle with radius of 1. Okay, if we draw a line here, let's say this is a right angle because that's tangent, and this is another right angle here. That simply means that these two triangles are similar by AA. In other books, they have it as AA similarity when you have it in grade 9. I know you discussed this in grade 9. AA similarity postulate. When we discuss AA similarity postulate, AA similarity theorem or AAA similarity postulate, in other books they have that. Either way, it only shows that this angle is the same. This angle of the smaller triangle is the same angle as the bigger triangle. At the same time, these two angles are both right angles, so that means these two are parallel. And if that's the case, these two are also congruent. Why are they congruent? Because they are corresponding angles from parallel lines. So that means if we get 60 degrees here, will it be the same as 60 degrees? That's what we're trying to discover. So that means they are the same. Anyway, when you click on sine 60 degrees for this triangle and sine 60 degrees for the bigger triangle, it's the same. The radius of this is 2, the radius of this is 1. This is half of this, that means everything is half. So if the one opposite 30, this is 60 now, is square root of 3, and this is 1, that means this part is also half. Kasi this is half of 2, this is half of 1, and this one is half of square root of 3. That's square root of 3 over 2. Paano kung 5? O sige, i-extend natin. If that's 5, definitely the one opposite 30 would be 5 square root of 3, and the one opposite this side would be 2.5, half of 5. Ganun din, if you divide everything by 5, babalik pa rin siya dito sa ating unit circle. So definitely, what is a unit circle? A unit circle is a circle whose radius is 1. So kahit na ilang triangle yung i-drawing natin dyan, these triangles will be similar triangles. Yan. So, bakit kailangan nating malaman yun? Because we have this on unit circle. A point P on unit circle, we know that the radius will be 1. So, madali na nating makuha si sine, cosine, and tangent. Dito, pwede na natin gamitin si calculator, pwede naman na tayong mag-proceed on the other items. But I just want to reiterate. Now, if this is a unit circle, definitely this is 1. And if that's the case, how do we find x? We know that the formula would be x squared plus y squared equals r squared. And r is 1. X squared is missing. Plus y squared is given. So if I'm going to solve for that, I'll write it here. X is equal to square root of r squared minus y squared. Then I can peel that one to my calculator. Square root of 1, since 1 squared is 1, minus 0.8 squared. And the answer is 3 over 5 or 0.6. So my x will be 0.6. If I know this, I can actually my sine. Since the radius is 1, sine is x, cosine is y, therefore, this is, it's the other way around. Sine is y, cosine is x, that means this is 0.8, and this is 0.6. And the ratio of the two would be the tangent, 0.8 over 0.6. Okay, there you go. Now let's continue. Exploring special angles. In special angles, students don't know yet, but they do know that, okay, see x, this is a unit circle, so the coordinates of this point and this point later we'll know. We know the coordinate of this point is 1, 0. We know the coordinate of this point is 0, 1. The coordinate of this point is negative 1, 0. And the coordinate of this point is 0, negative 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask our student to fill this up. Definitely, if I am a student, what I would do is I'm going to key in this with my calculator since this is as an explore activity. What's sine 0? Baka walang value. Okay, that's 0. How about sine 90? I can just go back here. You can just key in back button for the navigating button for your calculator, 90. And the answer would be 1. Okay. And then how about 180? Sine 180. 0. I know already 270, but if I'm a student, I'm going to key in that one in my calculator since this is an explore activity. Unless I fully understand the unit circle before. Yan. Okay. How about cosine? Okay, let's do cosine. Cosine 0. That would be 1. 90. I'll just go back, key in 9, and then that would be 0. Okay, I'm tempted to write the answer already, but since we are exploring and I am actually standing as a student, then I'll click -1 and then 270 and then equal 0. Once my student, I'll give 2 minutes for my student to fill this up. Once my student filled it up, then we're going to connect the relationship. Sine theta is 0. And then at 0 is 0. This is x. Okay, let me use blue. This is the x coordinate and this is the y coordinate. Sine is 0. Sine is 1. Sine in 90 sine is 1. In 180 sine is 0. In 270 sine is -1. If I'm going to identify which is that in each item, I would fall on the second coordinate, which means this is actually the y coordinate. And then cosine 0 is 1. Then I'll click on 1. I'll underline 1 twice. 90 is 0. Is it consistent? Yes, it is. -1 and 0. So there you go. In this activity, we know that the cosine is x. Therefore, our student can already answer tangent without identifying. Then have them fill this table up. Then they'll know when it is undefined and when it is not, when it is actually equal to 0. So that's another explore activity that we can use in class. Normally, if it's the quadrantal angle, the special angle, explore activity lang talaga. But this is another activity that you can use, evaluating the following items. Let them key in that one in their calculator, then ask them to key in each item. So makikita nila yon based on the table. Evaluate. Based on the table, first, let them key in their calculator. Then after that, let them evaluate the given. What is sine 0 based on the table? Then that's another explore activity. The thing is, we are actually inviting our student to think, not just give them the idea na, oh, ito yung sine, ito yung trigonometric function, ito yung sine, cosine, and tangent. No, the best thing would be to let them explore. Anyway, they have their calculators at home. Once they have their calculators at home, let them navigate the calculator by guiding them how they're going to use it. So yun yung isang one thing that we can do on explore activity. We'll have several explore activity, then later we're going to proceed already on evaluating. Yun talaga. No fuss. We need to use our calculator in that case. Yan. Hope everyone can follow po, no? Okay, let's continue. This time, reference angle. Ay, exciting to. I'm really excited on reference angle. Okay, this one they know already. Kahit nga hindi na natin yan i-key in. They know that, sige. They know this already that this is actually square root of, okay. I'm not going to dwell so much on this because we discussed it previously, but if they do not know, have them key in their calculator and let them plug. What's the idea here? We know that sine 30 is actually 1/2. Sorry. sine 30 is actually 1/2. Let's check. Sine 30. Then they can key in everything, but I'm not going to key in everything anymore, because we know that already. Yan, square root of 3 over 2. Then definitely they can key in that one. If I'm the student, let them key in, let them explore. Square root of 2 over 2. Then eventually later on, they'll get a hang of it. Alam ko na ang sine 45 is square root of 2 over 2. Cosine 30 would be square root of 3 over 2. Cosine 60 would be 1/2. Sine 45 would be cosine 45 would be square root of 2 over 2. Now remember, these are y's and these are x. So if we're going to key in that, that would mean that the ordered pairs of these points can be actually acquired through here. X is 30. This is 30 degrees. So x is square root of 3 over 2 and 1/2. This is square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2. And that would be square root of 1/2 square root of 3 over 2. There you go. So they know already that it's an explore activity. So our student will be, okay, yan pala yung coordinates ng point na yun based on the activity that we had. Because if you've had several explore activities, they'll get a hang of it and they know already what to do. They can plug it in here, but we're not going to plug that anymore. Okay, in this case, they don't know sine 120 degrees. So our idea is I plugged this in already because that's already considered as the given sine 30. Hindi na natin yan ipapa-explore. Why? We already explored this part of our activity. So what's the next thing? The next thing is to let us identify what sine 120. They don't know that, so definitely we're going to use the calculator. They don't know that yet. So 120 degrees sine square root of 3 over 2. Let me key in that. I'll just do the first one. The latter part, hindi ko na siya gagawin. Because at least we know what already. Sine 120, I'll just go back for sine 150. 1/2. Sine 135. Sorry. Sumobra, excited. Okay, sine 135, that would be square root of 2 over 2. Okay, now let's go for cosine. Cosine, this time, cosine 120. I'll close it. Pwedeng hindi i-close. Makakukuha pa rin naman. Negative 1/2. Okay. May negative biglang lumabas. They don't know that, so let them see that changes that we have here. 150, that would be negative square root of 3 over 2. And then cosine 135. That would be negative square root of 2 over 2. These values are familiar because you saw it already on the first part. So the thing is, let's devise question on which, remember, again, this is y, these are x. If that's x and y, that means this part, which is the red, is the biggest angle, so that means this is 150. The green is the middle, which is 135. And the smallest angle would be 120. Definitely, this would stand for 120 degrees. So the 120 degrees have x coordinate of negative 1/2. Let's key in that one. And square root of 3 over 2. Okay, that seems familiar. And then the 45 is the 135 is this point, which is actually negative square root of 2 over 2 and square root of 2 over 2. Okay, that seems familiar. So makikita na nila yung resemblance. The last would be negative square root of 3 over 2. And what's the other one? 1/2. Now they are already going to see the resemblance, but take note that in an ordered pair, the x and the y coordinate here are positive. Here it's the x coordinate is negative and positive. Here it's negative and negative. Here it's positive and negative. Okay, there you go. So makikita nila yung resemblance. Now, how do we know which is which? Remember reference angle. So makikita nila, okay. So that means the 150 and the 150 degrees and the 30 degrees actually have the same coordinates. The only difference is the sign, because based on this is on the second quadrant, this is on the first quadrant. Yes, basically this will give rise to reference angle. So you might as well take advantage of having on this direction. So take na natin, this is 30-degree angle if we're going to write here. That's a 30-degree angle. Therefore, this angle is also 30 degrees. Nakukuha na po ba natin? Okay, next. How about this angle? If we're going to look at this angle, if that's 30-degree angle, this angle, this point and this point, somehow they have similarity in the coordinates. The only difference is that the x coordinate here is negative because it's really negative, and the x coordinate here is positive. Why? Because if we're going to look at this angle, this measures 45 degrees. Maybe when you discuss it, make it a little clearer, you know. In my part, medyo struggle is real in this case. So that one means this is 45 degrees. This is my reference for 150 degrees. This angle is my reference for 135 degrees. And this angle is 60 degrees. My reference for this, since they have the same. So since they have the same reference angle, meaning how do I get my reference angle if I am on quadrant 2? So we can already explore that part. Now, they have the same value only if the reference angles are the same. So how do I get my reference angle? In the first part, my reference angles are 60, 45, and sorry, I'll make it clear. I'll just put it here. It's an explore activity, so have a lot of patience with our kids in dealing in this, but definitely they'll see relationship on this part. So what we can do is that, how do I get 30? How do I get 45? And how do I get 60? Remember, a reference angle, let's go back to the definition. A reference angle R for an angle in standard position is what? A positive acute angle. Between what? Between x-axis and the terminal side. So if we are confused, we always go back to the definition. So the terminal side and the x-axis. That's an acute angle. Hindi pwede dito because it's not acute. So we'd rather have the acute angle. So how do I get my reference angle? So the acute angle in this case is the one that measures 180 degree. 180 degree, and then what's the given angle? 150. What do I do to get this? What do I do with 180? Let me erase this part so that it will be clear for us. What do I do with 180 and 135 to get my reference angle? These are my reference angles. So alam ko, okay, si 150 ang reference angle niya ay 30, di pareho sila ng x-coordinate, pareho sila ng y-coordinate, only in this case, negative siya. That's what we want our student to realize. But how do they get the reference angle? 180 degrees and 120 degrees. How do I get 60 with these two values? Definitely I'll subtract. Then I can formulate that R is actually equal, the reference angle is actually equal to 180 minus what? Minus the given angle. Teacher, paano pag in terms of radian? E di pi. Papalitan lang natin. Pi minus given. Now, the thing is, how do you know whether the radian belongs to this one? Gamit tayo ng isang feature ni 991ES, yung table. Gamit tayo sa table. Halimbawa, how do we know if pi over 7 actually belongs to quadrant 1 or quadrant 2? Or any other quadrants for that case? Or it might fall on the x-axis. Ganon. So, what do? We can use the function. Okay. Let me introduce to you some other functions of this later. I promise I'm going to give you other functions of 991ES plus para magamit natin in class. But let's go first to table 7. We know the formula 180 over pi. So, the formula would be x over 7. Sige, take natin yon, x over 7. Why x over 7? Because it's pi over 7. We have shifted the yellow functions. Alpha are the red functions. Yan. So we're going to take a red function. The only difference of this is that yung x natin, yung alpha function natin, variable natin, ang initial function niya is open parenthesis. So alpha, then close parenthesis, that would give us x, fraction over 7. Now, anong kinalaman niyan dun sa pi? Later. Let's start with 1 until 7. Start with 1, equal lang siya, then click lang natin. Step 1 is, so meaning, anything, okay, sige, let's go back. Kalimutan ko, times 180 pala. Okay, times 180 degrees. Para na-degree siya, mas madaling maintindihan. Okay. There you go. So, okay, so yung sabihin, pi over 7, 2 pi over 7. So, look at the degree measure. And then, how about the 4? Since it's already 102.85 degrees. So, meaning, any proper fraction more than half of the proper fraction would be, paano half? Pi over 7. Pag 4 pi over 7, ang half ng 7 ay 3.5. So, if it goes more than that, that means it already belongs to the second quadrant. So, ganun lang. Tips lang naman po yun on how we can identify. So, let's proceed. Same thing with this one, pero hindi ko na siya i-explore. Pwede, kayang-kaya na natin, teacher, i-explore ito, no? But, okay. For a while, shall low ba na? Okay. Next is, ayan. Okay na. Now, if we're going to go through here, same as with the given. Kunin ulit natin, hindi alam ng mga estudyante ano si sine 2. Let's use our calculator for that. So, menu 1. Okay, 1. Calculate. So, ganun ulit yung gagawin natin. We'll get this, and then they'll see relationships. Once they see the relationship, we can go to the reference angle. Again, ito yung reference angle natin. Okay. Paano ba dyan? 210. If that's 210, and this is the angle, definitely that would be 180 plus, to get the reference angle, that would mean 210. Ito yung angle. Ito si 180. Tatanggalin natin si 180 kay 210 para kuha natin yung reference angle. So the reference angle would be 180 minus, 210 minus 180 degrees. That would be the given angle minus 180 degrees. Yan. So that's another thing. But it's you can explore this activity. These are some activities na gamitan na natin ng inevitable na talagang hindi natin siya gamitan ng calculator, yung evaluating trigonometric function. If you are asked to identify sine 24.8 degrees, it will be hard for us to get that value, for sure. Hindi natin yan kayang imano-mano or cos. Pwede with the trigonometric table, but since we have our calculator, we might as well maximize the use of our calculator. So if there's a decimal point, we simply key in 24.8. Pwede natin lagyan ng degrees, pwedeng hindi. If we don't put degrees, the value would be, sige, sulat natin yung value so that we can verify later. 0.4195. Okay. If we are going to put degrees, may difference ba? Let's check. The 4 decimal are 0.495. Wala namang difference. So it's up to you if you want to use if you want to put a degree or not. Anyway, bakit? Naka-degree naman tayo dito. So let's have another one. Paano kung secant? Okay, we know that the secant is the reciprocal function of cosine. So what are we going to do? 1 over cosine 64, what's that? Negative 57 degree, 0.08 degrees. We need to close and then click on equal. That would be 1.8. For 0, 0, up to 4 decimal places. How about if it's in degree, minutes, and seconds? Do we have to convert? We can have 2 ways of doing it. The first way is simply key in cosine and then key in 64. But you see, there is already a degree, minutes, seconds in our calculator. We click on degree and then 26 minutes. 26 minutes, and we close. That would be 0.4316. Okay, now, what if I converted it to decimal? Can I convert it to decimal? Yes, you can actually convert that to decimal. You can write 64 degrees, 26 minutes equals, and then you can convert it to decimal. There you go. It's just clicking on ST. Kaya lang, since repeating siya, when we want to have it in decimal, anyway, it will be the same. Sige, let's check. Cosine 60, no. Cosine answer. It has to be the answer. Then you're going to have the same value here, even if you have it in decimal or in fraction. How about secant? Are we good on this one? I hope we understand this part. Cosecant is 1 over sine. So that's, 1. You can do this. Or we can click on fraction first. It's up to us. 60 degrees, yan, 4 minutes, and then close. That would be 1.15. Now, 0, 0, 4 decimal places, round. Okay. Now, the thing is, if we are going to convert pi over 9, sige lang, let's do this first. Let's do first something that we know already, sine 90. Okay, we know that sine 90 is also sine pi over 2. How do we know? We can convert, remember? Pi over 2. Actually, pwede na lang i-multiply by 180. Let's do the right way of doing it. 180 over pi. That would be 90. So these two are the same. Remember, we are in degree. So if we click on sine 90, the value would be 1. If we are in degree and we click on shift pi over 9, pi over 2, sorry, let's do pi over 2 first. The value would be different. Why? Because we are in degree. So be careful. When we are getting it in radian, then you should be in radian setup. How do we do that or change it to radian setup? We click on shift mode, because shift mode will give us a setup function. Then you have choices. Focus on 3 and 4. The dead is our current setup. That would be in degree. We click on 4 for radian. This time, let's key in sine pi over 2. Sine over a fraction 2. If we do that, the value would be 1. Then it's already correct. It's in terms of setup. So if we are going to do sine pi over 9, sine pi over 9, okay. The value would be 0.3420. Okay. Teacher, what if I don't want to go to radian anymore? I want to stay on the degree. So let's go back. Shift mode 3 naman. If we want to go back to degree, we click on 3. What do we do with the pi over 9? We convert pi over 9 to, we can do 1 over 9. The shortcut would be doing 1 over 9 times 180. You can change that to degree. Okay, ang sine pi over 9 pala can also be sine 20 degrees. If that's the case, if I'm going to use sine 20 degrees, I will not anymore change my setup from degree to radian because I converted pi over 9 to 20 degrees. That would mean I will simply click sine 20. And the answer is, there you go. Is it the same? Exactly, it's the same. So I'm not going to write that anymore. So this time, how about negative 7 pi over 10? I would want to have it here in radian. So paano nga ulit? How do I change it to radian? Change the setup. Shift mode or setup. Click on 4 for radian. You will see on top that the D is already an R because it's already in radian. So tangent, let's see, what will be the value of tangent? Can we do it on our own? Negative 7. The pi is shift, then the times 10 raised to x here over what? 10. Okay, there you go. And there we have it. 1.3784. Para hindi na ako mag-convert. So what? Another one is cotangent. We know that cotangent is 1 over. Okay. The cotangent would be 1 over tangent pi over 11. Okay. In here, I would want this in radian because we know that 11 cannot be simplified further with 180. You're going to have decimal point, definitely. So that would be its value. Okay, are we good? Now, this is evaluating. Let's go further. So what else can we do with evaluating? These are some suggested activity that you can explore with our class on evaluating. We can do comparing. We can also do comparing, the one in radian and another one in degrees. That's it. Or both degrees, both radian. You can also do arranging. in descending order of values, something that is um, not the typical things that we do when we actually evaluate. Of course, this is something that's typical, but we're not going to discuss it anymore because this is something that we know already. I want to dwell on this one because on this thing, the angle is missing. Later, we'll have a lot of activities with the angle missing. So how do we do it if this is the case? Now, if this is the case, the angle is missing, that's when the shift function of sine, cosine, and tangent will be maximized. In this case, tangent theta, and we know that theta is from 0 degree, between 0 degree and, from 0 degree to 360 degree. So how do we identify? And there's another condition, sine theta is positive. Let's visualize that first. What do I know with A? What I know with A is that tangent is positive on two cases only. Tangent is y over x. It will only be positive if they have the same sign. This one, no. But here, it's also positive. But remember, there's another condition. It says here that sine should be positive. And sine will be positive above the x-axis. That means we are only considering angle on the first quadrant. So let's identify. But how do we get what is that angle that will satisfy this condition? So if that's the case, we simply click on shift. Okay. You know that you'll click shift if there's already S, no? Tangent. Then we key in the value 1.1213. We close. And then, why is it like this? Because we are in radian. Remember, we are in radian. And the given is what? In degrees. So we have to go back to degrees. How do we go back to degrees? Shift, set up 3. Look, it's already in degrees. Look at the difference of the value from before to now. Let's click on shift, tangent. I wasn't able to click shift. Shift, tangent, 1.1213. Look at the difference of the values from earlier. There you go. This is in decimal point. So is this in first quadrant? Definitely. So the value of theta here is actually 48.27 degrees. Or I think 4 decimal places. The more the decimal place that we consider, the closer the value will be with this value. So if we want to check, how about if we want to do it in degree, minute, seconds? In degree, minute, seconds, it will be, okay. We simply click on DMS. There you go. If we want to write it in terms of minutes, make sure that the last value would be in lower than 30. Okay. So that would be theta. If it's lower than 30, then we have 48 degrees, 16 minutes. What if that is 41.79? Then that would be 48 degrees, 17 minutes. That's the difference. So that's how easy it is to identify. No? You just need to visualize. Siguro let's go to letter B, sine. Okay, how do we get the sine? In letter B, let's just answer up to letter B, then we continue, we move on. B is sine. Sine is what? Remember, this is y. And y is what? The sign of y is positive because this is positive. Cosine is less than 0. That means cosine is negative. In which quadrant will that fall? If that's the case, it will fall on the 4th quadrant. Wait lang. Y is positive, 2nd quadrant. Yan. So, nasa 2nd quadrant pala siya. Ito siya. Yan yung angle natin. Now, if that's the case, what would be this angle? That's the question here. If we're going to look at that value, so that means if it's in the 2nd quadrant, your value will be between 90 and 180. Okay, let's check on how we're going to go about it. Are we in degrees? Yes, check. Shift, sine, if we're looking for the angle, it's always the shift, the secondary function in your calculator. 0.5151. And close. Why is that? First, because we only consider this part. If we consider this part, then we consider that one. This is the angle. That is 31.004 degrees. If that's the case, this is not what we are going to consider, because in this case, cosine is positive and cosine should be negative. How do we do that? That is where the reference angle formula will actually be used or be applied. We know that if that is on the second quadrant, that would be 180 minus the given angle. So 180, this is our reference angle. So 180 minus, what's that? 31.004. And the answer is, let's just use our calculator, 180 minus the answer, that would be 148. So that means the theta that we're looking for here is actually 148.996 degrees. There you go. Now, how do I make sure if my answer is correct? We can click on sign, answer, close. Is it the same value as what we have here? Yes, we do have the same value. So we are correct on that part. Are we good? It is the same follows with letter C. You just need to visualize where it is, apply the concept of reference angle, and then we can actually find the angle we are looking for. There. Now, maybe you're wondering, this is clear, I think, A and B. Let's just consider letter C, because we're talking about cotangent angle. How about if it's cotangent? How do we go about it if it's cotangent? Okay, if it's cotangent, we know that cotangent actually is the reciprocal of tangent. We know that tangent is opposite over adjacent, or y. Y over x. So that means cotangent theta is x over y. It's positive. Again, there are only two locations for our cotangent. It's either our angle is here or our angle is here. Yan yung angle natin. But basically, we only consider that para naman makuha natin yung reference. Okay, I'll fix that for a while. Okay. It's either this is my angle or that's my angle. Okay. No restriction, so I have two values for that, two possible values for the angle. Anything that goes here or here will do. Pero ano tong angle na to? How will I know this angle? It's the thing, no? First, I need to identify the location. After I identify the location, then I need to get the angle. How do I get the angle? If it's cotangent. For cotangent, I'll simply click in Shift, Tangent. But remember, this is cotangent. So I will make sure that I have the inverse here. 1 over 1.7580. Oh, I missed the 7. And click on equals. That would be my first angle. 29.63 degrees. Then, how about the second angle? I know that this is 180 plus 29.63 degrees. So the other angle would be this answer, the answer plus 180. That would mean that my other angle is 209.63 degrees, 63.24 degrees. So that means this is 63.24. I didn't. Okay. So that means if I want to check my values, if they are correct, I can simply do 1 over tangent 29.63. I want to make it a little bigger. And then equals. That would be 1.75800, 1.7. Then I'll have my correct value. How about the 200? Check if the 209 is correct. So let's check if the 209 is correct. I'll just put 0 here. And the value is the same, 1.7800, and so on. So there, that's how you get. You really just need to identify how we're going to get it. Are we good? Okay, I hope we can still continue. In this case, we're going to do Sokatowa. I prepared certain activities for us. Ayan. We're familiar with this, right? Okay, let me check. Okay. If I'm going to have this, this will be my right angle. This will be A. A can be in any A and B. Okay, this will be my smaller A. The opposite will be my smaller, and this will be A is 447. 447. And then B would be 15. This time we're already on trigonometric functions of an acute angle. I did not discuss it anymore, but in here you can actually do the Sokatowa. This is the opposite. If this is our angle, this will be our opposite. This will be the adjacent. And this will be the hypotenuse. We know that sine is, that's x, and that's y. What happened there? Okay. If that's the case, we know that sine is y over r. So that means opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine theta is x over r. In this case, it's your adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent is, we know that tangent is y over x. That's opposite over adjacent. From here, we form what we call Sokatowa. I just skipped that part because I know we know that earlier. But remember, we came from that idea of triangle to the idea of the trigonometric ratios to triangle. That's how we actually convert. Now, let's proceed. We're not going to answer that anymore here. The question always in anything is, what do I have? There are only two questions that you have to ask yourself when you are discussing acute angle. What do I have? I have, I'm looking for. What do I have? If this is my angle, I have an angle, and I have what part of the angle? I have the opposite of my angle. What am I looking for? I'm looking for the adjacent part of my angle because I'm looking for the hypotenuse. So I'm looking for C. If I'm looking for C, which is the hypotenuse, what do I have here? Remember, we can recall Sokatowa. Sokatowa. I have opposite and hypotenuse. The one that contains opposite hypotenuse are this. I'm looking for. So I have this. So I'll use sine. Sine sine. Oh, wait. That's B. And this is A. Sorry, I missed that part. And this is 447. Anyway, it's the same. Again, let's do it again. I missed the labeling. So again, looking for. I have my angle. If that's A, sige, I'll fix this first. Sorry, I missed that out. Okay. Again, let's do it again. This is A. Angle B would be 15. And this is A. The one opposite A is 447 because that's small a. This is small b and this is small c. Okay. I have an angle. What else do I have? I have the adjacent side. This side. I'm looking for the hypotenuse. So if I have an angle, I have adjacent side, and I have the hypotenuse. Definitely, from SOHCAHTOA, what will I use? Definitely, I'll use adjacent and hypotenuse. So I'll use cosine. Cosine 15 degrees is equal to the adjacent, which is 447, over the hypotenuse, which is, let's say, C. So to solve for that, that would be C is equal to 447 over cosine 15 degrees. So if I'm going to key into my calculator, syempre you don't have other way to answer this but to key in your calculator. Cosine 15 degrees. The answer would be 462. The hypotenuse is 462.77. Is there a unit of measure? Units. Okay, are we good? Let's proceed. Next one. It's the same thing as this one. But let's do a more challenging. Sige, let's do this first. A 3 feet tall cast a shadow 120. Okay. The shadow is 120. How tall? 100. Okay, this is 100. This is the right angle. Okay, if that's the case, what am I looking for? Find the angle of elevation. The angle of elevation would be here. What do I have? I have, in terms of the angle, I have the opposite and I have the adjacent. What am I looking for? I'm looking for the angle. So if that's the case, I have the opposite and I have adjacent from SOHCAHTOA. The opposite and adjacent would call for tangent. Tangent theta is equal to opposite 100 over 120. So if I'm looking for theta, remember that's tan. I'll not simplify that anymore. Anyway, I'll use my calculator. So that would be shift. If I'm looking for an angle, it's always the shift function of your calculator. Shift tangent 100 over 120. That would be how many degrees? 39.81 degrees. So theta is equal to 39.81 degrees. There you go. Next, let's proceed to a more, yan, I love this. Okay, let's take this. Where's the angle? Okay, let's have this angle. Okay, for a while. This is a rectangular piece of 12 centimeter by 24 centimeter is folded along a line. So this is AB. We fold it along a line. Segment AB as shown. Find cosecant theta. This is theta. Find the measure of the angle. So we're looking for this angle, but what we know is that this measures 12 and the whole measures 24. Is there an application of trigger in there? We'll see. We'll see. Okay, we know that this is 24. If it is folded, then we have a right triangle here because it's a rectangle. So definitely, if that's 24, if we represent this as B, this will be 24 minus B. And if this is the folded part and we fold it there, that means this is B. There you go. So how do we solve this item? If we are going to solve this item, that would be 12 squared plus 24 minus B squared is quantity B squared is equal to B squared. Okay, so that would be 144 plus 24 squared is 576. Sige nga, check natin. 24 squared. Okay, good. Minus 48B plus B squared is equal to B squared. Definitely we can cancel that. So 144 plus 576, that would be 720 equals minus 48B equals 0. Okay, just want to show there's a fixture in this calculator in 991ES where you can solve for X, only X. So we'd rather replace X with B. Kaya naman na natin siyang isolve, but I just want to show that there is such feature in our calculator. So if we key in 720 minus 48, okay, 48B, diba? So we'll just have X, but remember, X is an alpha function of open parentheses. So alpha, and then X. This is X. If you want to show equal sign, you can click on alpha equals. Okay, 0. Then how do we solve? Do we click on equals? No, we click on calc. Shift, calc. It will give you 7. No, that's the previous value of X. So we need to click on equals. That means X is equal to 15. That means the value of B is 15. So yan. One feature of the Casio 991ES Plus is that you can solve for X, for a variable. It's just that you have to convert the variable from the given to X so that you can actually solve. Now maybe you're wondering, what's L minus R equals 0? Left side minus right side equals 0. So if we replace this with 15, that will be 0. So B is 15. If B is 15, that means this is 24 minus 15. That would be 9. Yeah. Okay, if that's the case, okay, pwede siyang i-divide by 3. Para mas simpler yung value natin. That will be 5 is to 3 is to 4. And then siya. Then we can click on, remember similar triangle? Naalala nyo kanina, we discussed it. So pwede natin siyang i-simplify further. So to get cosecant theta, find the measure of the angle. To get the measure of the angle, we can use any. So I'd rather use sine. Sine is equal to opposite. Sine theta is equal to opposite. What's the opposite of the given angle? Opposite would be 3 over the hypotenuse, 5. What's sine 3 over 5? So what's the theta? The theta would be sine. Okay, So that would be shift. We are in degree, yes. Shift sine 3 over 5. Pi to 5. And the value would be the theta is equal to 36.87. Since I use sine, and that's the inverse function of cosecant, so cosecant theta is actually equal to 5/3. That's another way of doing it. So we actually started with something that is simple. This is already, I solved it earlier. Sige, let's try to solve this part before we actually end our discussion. Okay. Sinolve ko na siya kanina. Sorry. Okay. Now, y cotangent. Remember, we're solving for x. In order to isolate x, that would mean I need to put x in the denominator so that I can isolate it on the other side. And to do that, that would be, putting it in the numerator would be opposite over adjacent. But the thing is, since I need to solve for x, I can put another variable here. I can use Ayan here. So if I do cotangent, that would be cotangent 20 is equal to adjacent, so 75 plus a over x. Okay. If I'm going to simplify that further, that would be x cotangent 20 is equal to 75 plus a. Next, cotangent 40 would be, and this is 40. X over a is the tangent, so the cotangent would be a over x. If I simplify that further, I'll get x cotangent 40 is equal to, remember I'm solving for x, is equal to a. Now, take note that a here and a here is x plus 40. X cotangent 40. Therefore, if I'm going cotangent 20 is equal to 75 plus x cotangent 40. Then I can put this on the other side. This is already a simulation of application of the things that we learned before in other subjects. 40 is equal to 75. Common factor is x, so I'll put out x. I'll leave cotangent 20 minus cotangent 40 here equals 75. Can we follow? Divide both sides by, yeah, I'll just divide it, the whole thing. Not x, sorry, I'll leave x there. By cotangent 20 minus cotangent 40, that would mean x is equal to 75 over cotangent 20 minus cotangent 40. And the value would be, key in the calculator. This is a bit, I don't know. So I have here 75. Remember, cotangent is the inverse of tangent. So I'd rather for 1 over tangent 20 minus the cotangent 20 is 1 over tangent 20 minus 1 over tangent 40. And my answer would be 48.209. So x is equal to 48.209 unit. Okay, that's it. I hope we learned something this afternoon. I am very happy that I still have a lot of things here. I can just share it with you some other time. But thank you so much for the whole afternoon that we have from 3 to, it's already 4:42. Sorry, do I still have time? Because I can continue, but nevertheless, the only thing that you have to remember, just apart in words, is that when you are solving for the angle, the shift functions will be applied. The shift functions will be applied. Sorry, yan. Shift functions will be applied. But if you're solving for the given, you just simply need sine and then key in the angle. If it's in degrees, we should be in degree setup. If it's in radian, take note, we click on shift, set up, and then go to radian 4. Then R will appear. That means we can already key in sine followed by any value with pi, any fraction with pi. And also, the reciprocal functions that when you're solving for cosecant, that should be 1 over sine, secant, that would be 1 over cosine, and cotangent, that would be 1 over tangent. Those are the important things that we need to consider when we are discussing trigonometric functions. There you go. Okay, so I guess I can still continue. Okay, sige, let's have more items. Okay, I still have 5 minutes, so I'll go for the one, my favorite, angles. So let's just have this one last item. So I already gave you the things that we need to consider, but these are some applications of trigonometric function. Now, why is this so wonderful? Because we only have one given here. Find the perimeter of a regular octagon inscribed in a circle of radius 150 centimeters. First, what do we know? I have radius of 150 centimeter. What else? I have a regular octagon. Okay, that's good. If I have 15 centimeters radius, so I can simply draw. Okay, bear the drawing, huh? Okay. It has to be straight though. Okay. Anyway, so that's 150. Sorry, that's 150. 150, and this is also 150. What else do I know? I have a regular octagon, so the central angle measures the same for every central angle that I have in every segment. That means to find the central angle, I would go for 360, because that's everything, divided by 8. That would mean 360, I don't want to stress myself out, divided by 8, 45 degrees. Okay, so that's 45 degrees. Remember in geometry, we have a rule, we have a theorem that states that if a segment is perpendicular to the side of a regular polygon, then it bisects the side and it also bisects the intersected arc. If that's the case, if this is half, that would mean this part is 22.5 degrees. Paano ko nalaman na 22.5? Remember, this is half. If that's 45, half of 45 would be 22.5 degrees. That means I have a triangle. And if I have a right triangle, I can always solve it using trigonometric function. So how do I do that? What do I have again? Again, I have angle and hypotenuse. Angle and hypotenuse. I'm looking for what? I'm looking for this side, which is half of the side of the regular octagon. If I'm looking for this side, that means 22.5 degrees and 150. What will I use if I have angle and hypotenuse? What part of the triangle is that? That's the opposite. So I'm looking for the opposite. Looking for opposite. So hypotenuse and opposite in SOHCAHTOA That would mean I'm looking for sine. I'm going to use sine. So sine 22.5 degrees is equal to opposite, which is that's the one missing, over the hypotenuse, that's 150. The hypotenuse is the radius, remember? So that means, I'll go here. Okay, I'll go here. 150 sine 22.5 degrees will give me x. So how do I key in that? Key in that way as it's presented. 150 sine 22.5. Close. And the value would be, okay, I remember. So I'll go back to degree. We have to be careful about that. Shift, set up, then 3 degree. Then we have sine, 150 sine 22.5 degree, because the given angle is in degree, then it should be in D. 57 degrees. That's 57.4. That's the measure of x. Remember, x is only half. So the measure of the half is 57.4. So what's the measure of the whole side? That would be times what? Times 2 if the measure of the whole side. So that means the side measures, I'll just round it to 57.4 times 2. We have 114. Wow. Okay. So this is 114.8. What's the perimeter? The perimeter would be the sum of all the sides. Remember? So perimeter is equal to 8 times the side, since it's an octagon and it's regular. So that means the side measure is the same for all. So the perimeter is equal to the side times 8. That would be, it always give an answer. It always gives an answer in fraction. So if you want to make it decimal, click on ST. 918.4. Perimeter, so that's centimeter. That's the perimeter of the whole octagon inscribed in circle. So that's it for the whole afternoon. Again, let's be careful with the degrees and the radian, but I hope we learned something and we can put something in our pocket for this afternoon session. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Yes, we're waiting for Sir Bads, and thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you, Ma'am Reverie, for that very informative talk about the use of these Casio calculators in teaching and learning process. So talagang napakaganda, no? We've been discussing about integration of these Casio calculators in teaching and learning process. Siyempre, kung meron makakasagot dyan as a mother and meron siyang daughter na nag-aaral sa City of Mandaluyong Science, Makati Science High School rather, let's have Ma'am Rowena and Daya Reyes. Siyempre, meron din siyang isi-share about sa kanyang mga karanasan. Ma'am, nakamute?
Actually, nung nanonood ako sa demo ni Ma'am Reverie, si Arabella nasa tabi
Friend ako.
Na-remember siya, teacher ko siya. O, di ba? Ayun. So, malaking bagay, nakakatulong siya. Noong high school ako, favorite ko yan, trigonometry, di ba? Favorite no? Oo, malaking bagay.
Tapos may calculator, di ba, Ma'am? But I remember, Ma'am, when before meron tayo may table pa
Meron,
tayo of trigonometric, before may trigonometric table pa tayo, naalala mo?
Meron
Sino
pang
ba?
ganun.
Sir Buds, naabutan mo ba yung trigonometric table or calculator na talaga?
Calculator na talaga naabutan ko, ma'am.
Ay, ganun. So, sorry. Walang ibig sabihin.
Wala,
Wala.
magkakaibigan tayo dito kaya walang maglalaglagan. Yeah. So
Kala
kaya
ko.
narinig natin no, yung side ni Ma'am Weng as a parent. Although si Ma'am Weng is also a teacher at may anak din siya. Siguro it's very important for us to hear another testimonial from one of the top teachers and scholars. That's all welcome. Mr. Sir Mar Joseph Fernandez. Hello, sir.
Hello po, sir. Naririnig niyo
Ayan.
po?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir. Narinig na po.
So, as we are facing the new normal in education now, the Department of Education is able to provide us with the different learning delivery modalities, specifically with distance learning. So, this presentation or the lecture that we have been shared by Ma'am Rev is very helpful in creating the self-learning modules or activity sheets for enriching our students. Kaya specifically, yung mga nabanggit po kanina ni Ma'am Rev in introducing our lesson in exploratory manner can help us in enriching our students in learning them the most effective way and specifically with the help of the calculators. So it may mean na merong barrier minsan or hindi tayo nagkakaroon ng access sa technology, but then as what have been said, technology is a great weapon in improving the quality of education. So ang magagawa lang po talaga natin is to make a way in doing the techno or using technology more effectively in our classes. Specifically, ngayon na meron tayong online and kung wala pong internet yung mga bata, we can use recording as what have been introduced by the DepED EdTech unit. Kaya pwede po nating i-maximize lahat ng mga applications na in-introduce na po sa atin. So specifically na ang takeaway ko rin po kanina talaga with the lecture of Ma'am Rev is that by using the emulator, we can create more effective video lessons. Specifically, if we are doing online classes, we can use the emulator to give a more clear or visual presentation to our students. Specifically, pwede rin natin ito magamit na maging presentation for our students to make sure that they can follow through our discussion. Kasi one of the feature of an emulator is that it can show the different buttons that we are pressing at a time. Okay, so with that, I congratulate and I commend the lecture of Ma'am Rev for this afternoon po. Okay po.
Ayan, thank you, Sir Joseph, for that insight on the side of the teachers. So, Ma'am Weng, ano masabi mo?
Thank you, sir. With the help of emulator, so maganda talaga siyang gamitin. Ano, makakatulong siya.
Opo.
Katulad ng sinabi ni Sir Mark Joseph, the way Miss Reverie explained. So, talagang na-explain niya in detail, na-explain niya na maayos, na kung saan ay talagang pag pinakinggan mo, matututo ka na. Mababalikan mo yung dating dating memories ng trigonometry. Me, as
Okay.
parent, and also as teacher.
So, ayan. So, huwag na natin patagalin pa. Imbitahan na rin natin ang isa sa napakabuti at napakabait na head ng educational Casio Education Technology Unit. Let's all welcome Sir Joel Serrano. Hi, Sir Joel.
Hello, Sir Buddy, Ma'am Weng, narinig niyo ako?
So, good
Sir.
afternoon, sir.
Hello?
Ayan.
Good
Yes, sir. Narinig po.
afternoon, yes. So, can you hear me clearly? Thank you.
Yeah.
Mabait na lang ba? Nakakatuwa naman yung mga yung description mo. Magandang hapon sa lahat, no? First of all, thank you again sa DepED EDTECH for supporting this kind of professional development workshop, no? From Sir Mark, Sir Buddy, to Ma'am Weng, and the rest of the hardworking crew of DepED ETU. And of course, to our technical teacher for today, Miss Rebri Vargas of Makati Science High School. Congratulations, no? And to our guest commentator for today, Sir Mar Fernandez, no? Actually, he's a good friend of mine from MTOP Scholar Batch 3, no? Um, I'd like to also greet some of our technical teachers na nanonood ngayon, no? Hello, Sir Tony Torres, Sir Mark Vidalio, Mamemi, and si Mayora, Mayor Anco Santos, no? Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you sa lahat ng participants for today, and we hope you enjoyed another session, this session for using this brand new emulator. This is so-called the Casio 991 ES Plus second edition. Next week po ulit, and we will introduce a new one, a new emulator that you can use for your online teaching. So if nagustuhan niyo po yung aming emulator, we only have one request, no? We are sharing these apps for free, and we hope that you can also share it to your co-teachers and students for free as well. So if you guys are interested to bring this kind of webinar to your respective divisions or region, please PM us and we will be happy to assist you. Finally, stay home and stay safe muna tayo. May virus pa. Bahay muna, buhay muna. Maraming salamat po mula sa Casio. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sir Joel. Talagang si Sir Joel, pag nag-message siya sa atin sa pinaka-dulong-dulo, talagang pinipili niya, save the best for last. Ika nga ni Sir Joel lagi dahil ayaw niya talagang nauuna. So, Sir Joel, nabanggit natin kanina, magkakaroon tayo ng dalawang sorpresa this afternoon. So, siguro simulan natin ang ating unang sorpresa. Ang gagawin natin ngayon, sir, is that we're going to play a game. This is to assess yung learnings ng ating mga teachers, and we will be playing this quizzes. So, paano ba nilalaro si quizzes?
Kasali daw si Sir Mark, oh.
Pwede naman, sir.
Pwede naman, sir. Pili lang yung code.
So, ayan, ang gagawin natin, you just need to open a web browser, Google Chrome, Mozilla, or Internet Explorer. On the address bar, type joinmyquiz.com. You need to enter the code. It's 069398. Click join game and enter your name. Please use your full name and then wait for the game to start. We will be using the full name para po pag halimbawa kung sino po yung magiging top scorer natin, magiging madali po yung pagpapaship po ng ating item. So again, it's joinmyquiz.com and you use the game code 069398. So ayan po, pwede pong sumali ang lahat.
Pag hinihintay natin, let's join the game!
Ayan, tignan na natin kung sila ilan na ang ating mga participants. Ayan. Ayan, meron na. Again, ito po, joinmyquiz.com 069398. I-add natin si Ma'am Reverie sa ating stream. Ayan. So, tingnan natin, we have 11 participants, 12. Ayan po ang ating titignan na, joinmyquiz.com 069398. At 5:03, we will start our game.
So we have 2 minutes
Ang
to join
mananalo
the
po
game.
rito, top scorer, will receive a Casio Scientific Calculator. Tama po ba, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
ClassWiz.
So, ayan.
Scientific calculator.
Hintayin lang natin. Again, it's joinmyquiz.com and you use the game code 069398. You can use your laptop, you can use your cell phone, you can use your tablet, your iPad, or any device na may internet connection. Again, at 5:05, we will start our game.
Di ba Super Mario yan, Sir Bud?
Hindi naman po, sir. Again, ayan po ang ating joinmyquiz.com 069398. Ma'am Weng, visible ba ang ating screen?
Yes, nakikita siya.
Ayan. So, tingnan lang natin.
Okay, let's start. 5:02 na.
Okay, let's start our game. So wait lang natin, medyo ayan.
Sir Buds, hindi naman kaya mag-down yan, ha?
Hindi naman siguro, ma'am. Ayan, tingnan natin. Oh. Tingnan natin kung sino mangunguna. Ayan. Nahihirapan sila dahil yan po ay puro combinations. Tingnan natin. Ayan, meron na nakakuha.
Sir Buds,
Yes,
sino po
ma'am.
ba nag-prepared ng quiz na yan na nilagay sa quizzes?
Si ano po, si Ma'am Reverie Vargas. Ayan, si Sir. Our leader is Sir Raul Escobedo with 920 points.
Wow!
Tingnan natin.
Hindi naman masyadong favorite niya ang subject na math.
Yes.
Oh, may nakaka-first.
Si Ma'am Arcel Coyos. Ang aking masugid na taga-suporta ng MATHtech Davao del Norte. Lagi na
Ayan
kasuwebe sa
tayo
atin yan.
Ayan tayo eh.
Math game. Scores.
Ilang seconds ba yan, sir?
30 seconds per item, ma'am.
30
But,
seconds.
time to compute.
Pwede raw
At
bang
5:08,
retake?
we will
Sir Mark,
walang
ano yung
retake yan,
score
ma'am.
natin?
Sinasagutan ko na siya.
Okay, at 5:07 we will end our game.
Sir, yung nanalo ng 991 DS Plus ClassWiz, may Radiant din yan. Nasa setup din. So, isipin na lang nila.
Sino to?
Last 2 minutes. So far,
Okay
our
na.
leader is Sir Mario Sapong.
Wow!
Wala yata nakakabit sa kanya, Sir Buds.
Yes, ma'am, wala pa. Tingnan natin. Ayan, yung iba hindi ko na.
Ayan, nakakatawa. Ito,
Maybe
quizzes na to.
connected.
Remy, bakit may Reynaldo Torres dyan?
Oo nga eh.
Lumalaban, Sir Torres!
Magkakakilala
Tingnan
ba?
natin.
Pag mahina ka din kasi connection, sir, it also affects
Oo.
the game.
Pero Sir Buds, itong quizzes na to pwedeng magamit ng mga teacher as part of their motivation. Free
Yes,
po itong
ma'am.
quizzes na to. Pwede kayo mag-create ng quiz dito.
Okay, so we will end our game and let's see kung sino ang ating winner.
May nanalo na. May nanalo na ng ClassWiz calculator.
Wow.
Ayaw niya mag-end. Okay, so far ang ating number 1 sa ating leaderboard is si Mr. Mario Sopong. Ayan. Medyo may delay lang tayo sa ating connection.
Ayan na, mga winner.
Ayan, ang nanalo po sa atin first game ay si Sir Mario A. Sopong. Sir, kindly send me a private message or I'll email you. Ayan. I will email. Ayan, so pero mangyayari, parang integration na rin po sa ating classroom teaching and learning. Kapag ito ginamit ni teacher sa kanyang asynchronous exam, pwede nating isend sa magulang yung result ng kanyang quiz. So, ibig sabihin, makakapag-submit ka ng result. Halimbawa ako, submit ko sa email ng aking nanay, halimbawa ni Mario Sopong rather. Ayan, and then send. Pag sinend ko na yan, ang mangyayari dyan, ang ating mga learners, ang ating mga magulang ay makaka-receive ng email from quizzes. Ito na po. And then papadalan po sa kanya yung statistical report po ng ating exam. So dito lalabas yun sa email na pinrovide. And then ayan na. You've received a quiz report for Mario. So, ibig sabihin, na-send ka agad dun sa parent or sa guardian ng bata yung result ng exam. Kung papansinin nyo po, kanina lumalabas yung mga pangalan ng mga participants natin. So, talagang natin sa classroom, we need to tell our students na kailangan nilang gamitin yung kanilang real name para ma-counter-check natin kung sila ba talaga yon. So, Sir Mario, dahil medyo may po tayo, may problem po tayo. So you need to email me para po ma-process po natin ang iyong prize from our very generous Casio Philippines Education Unit Head, Sir Joel Serrano. I-email niyo lang po ako sa email na ito. It's oer.ilagan@gmail.com. And para magkaroon po tayo ng proof na kayo po talaga yon, you need to send us your a valid ID, miski isang valid ID lang. Although it's in this time of pandemic, we need to stand sa ating mantra of honesty is the best policy. So again, Sir Mario Sapong, send me an email at oer.ilagan@gmail.com and then forward ko yan kay Sir Joel. So next na tayo. Magtungo naman tayo sa ating raffle. Sir Joel, tama po, no? May isa pa po tayong pipiliin ng raffle for calculator. We have almost... Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir Joel.
Yes.
Okay. So start na natin, sir.
So but
we have...
yung participant na nanalo dapat yung he or
Yes,
she
sir.
must send to us the videos.
Yes, sir. The videos itself. Kailangan niya magpadala rin. Ayun, tama. Thank you, Sir Joel. Kailangan ipadala niya rin yung kanyang 10-second video na ginagamit niya yung ating emulator. So dito, sir, sinala ko na to because we have, I think, 500 entries and unfortunately 320 something lang po ang nakapag-submit ng videos nila. So let's start. Isa lang po ang ating pipiliin. Hintayin lang po natin.
Okay.
Kapag live talaga, lalo na kapag yung internet connection natin hindi nakikisama. medyo tatagal talaga tayo dyan. So, hintayin lang po
It's
natin.
normal.
Yeah,
Normal na
yeah.
yan sa us.
3 beses na ako na biktima yata nitong internet connection na to. So, ayan, let's draw the name. Sir, isa lang po, right? So, Sir Joel, babasa na lang po.
Zoom, Sir Bob.
Yes.
Ayan, our winner is...
Sir Mar, please do the honor.
Okay po. So, Ma'am Clarissa D. Bonghanoy.
Okay, so our winner for this Casio calculator is Ma'am Clarissa Bonghanoy. So, Ma'am Clarissa, hintayin lang po ang email ni Sir Joel para po sa inyong Casio calculator. And, ayan, medyo okay na tayo sa ating raffle. It's time for last few reminders mula sa ating friends from Casio. Sir Joel?
Sir Joel, go ahead.
Ay. Ayan, Sir Joel. Last message po.
Well, I'd like to say thank you again. Hello. Wala na.
Hello, sir.
Yan. Okay na ako. Yan, okay na po.
Yes, sir.
Kasi medyo maulan dito kaya nawawala yung signal, no? Again, I'd like to say thank you to everybody. Next week ulit, kita-kita tayo ulit dito sa Casio weekly session together with Casio DepED EDTECH, no? Sama-sama tayo sa pagsulong ng isang edukalidad. Yan, inagawa na kita ng line, Sir Buddy.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat, Sir Joel. And let's have Ma'am Reverie. Ma'am Reverie, nakamute po.
Sorry, yan. This had been Casio's drive to share what we have, and we hope that whatever we share, you share it also to other people. And I hope we see the emulator as one partner that we can use as math teacher, not only in teaching trigonometry, but all the other mathematics subject, because I appreciate the use of it. I know that there's a lot of teachers who will be blessed on the wonders of the calculators that we have in Casio. With that, thank you po and have a great afternoon. God bless.
Ayan. Thank you, Ma'am Reverie. Let's have our guest teacher this afternoon, Sir Mar Joseph. Sir Mar Joseph,
Go
any
ahead,
message?
Sir Mark.
Ayan, medyo nagkakaroon yata ng problem si Sir Mar sa ating internet connection. Parte yan ng buhay natin as a teacher. Again, Sir Joel and Ma'am Reverie, on behalf of Educational Technology Unit, maraming salamat po
Thank you so much.
for this opportunity, and hopefully, one step at a time, we will be able to empower our mathematics teachers by means
Thank you so
of
much,
equipping them. Yes, sir.
Malapit na. And be ready for that.
Malapit na rin makita ang ating mga Casio EDTECH teachers sa ating DepEd TV. Nalaman ko ng schedule, mamaya na lang po tayo mag-usap, Sir Joel. So again, Sir Joel. Yeah. Maraming salamat, Sir Joel and Ma'am Reverie. Bye-bye po.
Bye
So
po.
much.
Thank you.
Ayan, Ma'am Weng, kamusta naman ang ating isang araw na nagdaan?
Alam mo, Sir, ba't ang pogi-pogi mo dyan? Grabe, oh. Wala akong masabi sa chroma mo, ha? In fairness, ha? Oh, di ba?
5 ilaw ang pinagana ko rito para mag-balance. So, para mag-balance lang yung aking itsura.
Ikaw na talaga ang chroma king.
At sabi nga, siyempre ni Sir Raymond, naalala ko, pag hindi na talaga kaya ng siyensya, teknolohiya na ang gamitin mo. So ayan, we are using technology para i-enhance ang ating sarili. So any last word, Ma'am Weng?
Ayan, nakakatuwa naman ang session natin this afternoon regarding sa Math Day and also the integration of the ClassWiz calculator. I hope yung ating mga live participants ay natutunan ng mga strategy and how to use this ClassWiz calculator. At natutuwa ako sa ating guest speaker na explain niya talaga very well and also the support of Sir Joel Serrano. Thank you so much at sa ating visitor na nagpatotoo na talagang napaka gandang gamitin. Totoo naman, kasi kung babalikan ko yung memories ko, days na nag-aaral ako ng trigonometry, walang ganoon. Although meron man, pero yung functionality, hindi lahat ma-access o wala pang ganong innovation.
Yes, ma'am. And medyo may katext na tayo kasi we are rushing yung ating mga video clips and meron tayong mga kailangan i-follow up. So, ayun,
Yes.
maraming salamat po for joining us sa ating webinar. Alam ko naninibago po kayo dahil kadalasan ang ating pong Casio webinar ay tinataon natin ng 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And meron lang mga changes na nangyari na kaya nagbago tayo, naging hapon tayo. And hopefully, makita-kita pa rin po tayo next week. We will have our session at 10 o'clock next week. And Weng, sabi nga natin, no? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Sir Bads, kanina sa GC natin, na-launch na yung sa IBC 13. Meron ka na ba dyan?
Siguro tomorrow at hindi yung musta, we will launch that. We will launch that particular promotional video about distance learning in Philippine context in partnership with IBC 13. So tomorrow, makikita niyo po ang grand launching ng promotional video ng IBC 13 featuring DepED TV kasama ang ating mga teacher broadcaster. Bukas po yan, 8 p.m. at ETU Musta. Makikilala po natin personally ang mga teacher broadcaster natin na makakasama natin araw-araw. Magsisimula po yan sa Lunes, sa ganap na ika-8 ng umaga hanggang ika-6 ng gabi.
At
Uunahan
excited
po namin kayo. Hindi niyo pa po kami makikita sa unang segment ng IBC 13 dahil kami po ay nasa second episode.
Tsaka Sir Bads, tayo
Yes,
po
ma'am.
ang mga nag-asikaso sa ating mga teacher broadcaster, lahat po ng support.
Yes.
Talagang nag-giveaway tayo para maging successful ang ating launching. So thank you so
Yes,
much.
no, parang ano po, no? Hindi man sa parang sinasabi natin, no? Talagang napakalaking responsibilidad to on the DepED, on the EdTech unit na maging bahagi ng kasaysayan sa pamamagitan ng paglulunsad ng DepED TV. Maraming salamat din syempre sa ating mga naging mentors sa paggawa ng ating mga video. We have Mr. Paolo Bediones, ang nag-iisang Paolo Bediones.
Close na kayo, di ba?
Yan. Sir Paolo, close na kami yan. At kahapon, nagulat ako, hindi ako pinag-take na Sir Paolo ng kanyang video. We also have Margie, Sir Neil, lahat po ng mga men and women behind this DepEd TV, our executive producers, Sir Neil, our editors, our graphic artists, at lahat po ng bumubuo ng DepEd TV. Siyempre, hindi natin makakalimutan ang kagawaran ng edukasyon sa pangunguna ng ating DepEd Secretary, Secretary Leonor Magtolis Briones, ang ating mga undersecretaries sa DepEd. Kilala naman po natin sila, Yusek Ann Sevilla, Yusek Dad San Antonio, Yusek Rebsi, Yusek Umali.
Sasamahan kita kahit isang eroplano ang agwat nating dalawa. Dahil kung nakakapagsalita lamang ang paliparan, ikukwento niya kung ilang beses akong lumingon pabalik sa'yo nung araw na ako'y lumisan. Papalubog ang araw noon at dahan-dahan lumulubog din ang puso dahil akala mo'y wala kang talento sa pagpinta. Ngunit anak, gusto kong ipaalam sa'yo na ikaw ang nagpinta ng buhay ko. Sasamahan kita hanggang marating mo ang mga ulap, hanggang maabot mo ang iyong mga pangarap.
Hello, Ma?
Hello, anak. Sorry
kakatapos lang ng trabaho ni Mama.
Okay lang po, ma. Kakatapos lang din naman po namin maglaro.
Mukhang nandun ka ulit sa paborito mong lugar, ah. O sige, ready ka na ba? Punta ka na sa DepED Commons. Math tayo ngayon, ha? Saan na nga ulit tayo nahinto kahapon? Sa problem solving na, di ba?